Yeah, so apparently this is a thing. This is within about the past hour or so. Things are being updated as we go, but this article came to us from the New York Times as of about 12 minutes ago. As we can see here, Canada Live updates. Trudeau declares national emergency, expanding measures to end protests. Now, is it just me, or did the Prime Minister of a Western democracy just declare a national emergency regarding people protesting the actions the government took during a national emergency? Must just be me. As we can see here, the move is the first time the government has taken such action in half a century. It is Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's most aggressive response since the protests roiling the country began. That's what you need to know. Again, take this as you would. I will add my opinion and commentary here. Canadians are responsible for roughly half the money raised online for the trucker convoy, leaked data shows. Alberta police arrest 11 protesters and seize a cache of weapons near the border. Okay, which side of the border? A watershed moment for Canada as the government invokes the Emergencies Act. Ontario will no longer require proof to show vaccination to enter any indoor space. Oh, so you're repealing papers, please. Thank you. Auto production restarts after the Ambassador Bridge is cleared. Yes, there were a bunch of people on the bridge. Basically, it looks like a lot of the world is essentially rising up to defend the doctrine of bodily autonomy. It's your body, your choice, consent matters. This is going to be important as we continue. I see you there, LDG. We're going to continue with this for the moment. This is important. And then basically, yeah, people are pissed. Yes, this is Justin Trudeau, as we can see here and here. This is an ad hominem attack. I do not recommend them, but I just find it ironic because maybe it wasn't him, but if you happen to have Mr. Gentleman that does cannot say how often he wore blackface, calling a bunch of other folks racist. Now, if there is evidence of that, that's one thing. You're just calling people you disagree with politically using fighting words. I don't know. I think it was the former Canadian Prime Minister. Was it John Kater? He was a boxer. I do not promote violence here on the Means of Destruction channel, unless we legalize dueling or whatever combat sport it is. Now, why do I say this? Because if you just look at what's going on here, this is why I use the thumbnail. You're looking at this. You just type in Canada. You go to news. Yeah, Trudeau's emergency invokes powers to adjust the protests. Yeah. Oh, he's vowing to freeze anti-mandate protesters' bank accounts. So what you're saying is, in a free democracy, the leader can unilaterally, or by whatever method does, if you're protesting against something the government is doing, they can be like, okay, we're calling in a national emergency. A bunch of other folks in elected government, they're going to start calling you terrorists. Somebody that was compared to terrorists shortly after 9/11 for having a very strong political disagreement with people. It's home for me. And truckers are also the lifeblood of our frickin' economies here. This is important. I stand with truckers. I don't often do the little Bandcamp hashtags that often. This is important. Yeah, you just look at this. Okay, they're clearing the bridge. Okay, if you're actually blocking something with actually important transit, I can understand that. Okay, so just this title: Trudeau invokes Emergencies Act against Freedom Convoy trucker protest. Is this what it really comes down to? Because here's the thing, and I see, as a proud dirty leftist, I thought Prime Minister Trudeau was part of the left party that stood for, I don't know, bodily sovereignty and everything like that. I mean, it's not like anybody is behind the scenes play. Again, I have no evidence for this. I'm sure he's acting in the best interest of Canada. What is the best interest of Canada? What might there be a component of that we might be missing? Very often they say, follow the money, follow the money. And I just sit back and I'm like, there's certain things here that I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's okay. There's a plague upon us. It's a bad plague. Okay, we're developing something. And now a couple of years later, okay. Right, right. No, no. Every year, at least again, I'm not a doctor nor a virologist. This is just my opinion and speculation as a dude on the internet. I'm just listening. I'm like, well, every year, don't they have like the new flu that they're basically trying to take basically inert virus from whatever they think the closest strain is going to be, and then you get your inoculations for that. I'm like, why would we still be doing this for something that was developed for something 2 years ago that doesn't seem to be a prevalent strain? And what's with those waivers, man? I'm like, I'm looking at this. I'm like, yeah, there's always going to be some complications here and there, but I'm like, unfortunately, that is statistics. But I'm like, it, why do you have to have somebody sign a waiver of all liability for something that's safe and effective? And I'm like, it just doesn't really add up and everything. And people have their own opinions about that, and that's fine. Hey, your body, your choice. But then I got to thinking, I'm like, hypothetically, if this happened to be, let's say, a lab accident, because when people use lab leak, the problem with it is that can be taken two very different ways. It leaked out, meaning it escaped, or it leaked as in you're leaking to the press. It was something done intentionally, so then people can argue about it. If you call it a lab escape possibility, well, now we're not necessarily just forking blame on people. I tend to agree with Professor Stephen Wolfram. His just initial response was, "Oh, it just sounds like a lab accident." I mean, like these things do happen. It's happened before, and it's not like anybody would just try to do their job and get in trouble as little as possible and hope things might blow over, and or I don't know what happens if you ask the question, and questions can be dangerous. Who is insuring the Institute of Virology? Just hypothetically, in case there was a lab escape, who was insuring it? I typed this into the internet. I got this from law.com. This is from June 17th, 2021 of last year. China's Wuhan lab can be sued over COVID-19 origins, but can a defendant be hauled into U.S. court? Lawsuits against China over the pandemic have turned to diplomatic channels to send service of process to the Chinese government, which has refused to respond on immunity grounds. But not all of the defendants are government entities. According to the lawsuits, including the Wuhan Institute of Virology, now at the center of the renewed U.S. intelligence investigation. So, again, just from that line right there, I am not an attorney. I'm also not an underwriter of insurance. But when I see that has refused to respond on immunity grounds, I don't know. What was the Wuhan Institute of Virology? There are several of these different style labs across the world where very often you'll have very wealthy, powerful nations have a number of different experiments, research, whatever done because we don't want that stuff in our backyard. That's why we send it over there. So I'm just saying that I'm sure, just in case there was a lab escape, but there was a very large insurance policy to cover potentially shutting down the world for about 2 years. Because again, I'm not an insurance agent, an underwriter, nor an attorney. But all I know is that, well, let's say you had powerful nations like the United States, perhaps even Canada, because I remember something about Canada being mentioned very early on. Again, just my recollection of what was said on the internet a while ago. So hypothetically, if there was a lab escape and the country in which you are operating happens to have immunity because they're doing it literally in their backyard, who would the liability fall to? It's not like it would fall to potentially very rich and powerful nations or, I don't know, associated entities. Because all I know is that sounds like the largest payout in history. Now, again, this is just the opinion of a self-proclaimed crazy person on the internet. My bandana is blue. Kind of looks black, at least through the polarization of these lenses here. But I see other Monterey as Laszlo as well as Joe. Shout out to my patrons, Joe, Franco, and Dave M. This broadcast has helped me possible by viewers like you, so I want to put this out into the digital ether because somehow I think some of these questions may be relevant to what's going on in Canada. I stand with truckers. Honk your horns, my friends. Peace out, everybody. Be safe. And keep on trucking. Where's the thing? Here's the thing.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.